So for this unit, we're going to talk about muscle tissue in general, but we're going to focus on skeletal muscle. So that's one of the main types. And cardiac muscle tissue is so the muscle tissue in your heart that contracts, that is muscle tissue, but a special type of muscle tissue. And there's smooth muscle tissue, and you find this in like organs, blood vessels. Basically, if it's not skeletal muscle tissue, if it's not found in the heart, then it's a smooth muscle tissue. But yeah, this is the focus, especially for chapter 10 in both books and for the muscular system. They focus mostly on the skeletal muscle tissue. Cardiac comes later when we talk about the cardiovascular system, and smooth muscle tissue, it doesn't quite neatly fit in one system, but we save that more when we talk about the vasculature and blood vessels. So these two we'll focus on next semester, but this is the focus of Unit 2 of this semester. Okay, but what are the differences? Well, cardiac muscle tissue, one big difference, or cardiac refers to the heart, but a thing is that you notice that these cardiac muscle cells, one distinguishing feature is that they have things called intercalated discs. So it looks like these muscles are kind of parallel, but the thing about cardiac muscle, it forms more of a network. And the thing about your heart is that every time it does a cardiac cycle or does a heartbeat, it has to actually rhythmically contract, starting with the atria, then the ventricles, then the atria, then the ventricles. So it has to do like a wave of contraction from the base of the heart to its apex. So that's one big difference between cardiac muscle tissue and the other two muscle types, is that these intercalated discs actually have a lot of these things called gap junctions. And what gap junctions allow are well, I don't think they show gap junctions in this one, but gap junctions are located in these intercalated discs, and these gap junctions, if you remember all the way back to epithelial cells and cell layering, is that they connect the cytoplasm of adjacent cells. So with intercalated discs, they actually allow water, ions, and small molecules to pass between cardiac muscle cells. And that's what we have. So this is showing you even more like zoomed up of one cardiac muscle cell. But yeah, here we have smooth muscle tissue, and unlike cardiac muscle and unlike skeletal muscle, they don't have that zebra stripes and that striate pattern. They are able to contract, but they're not as, let's say, so we have things called myofibrils that are contracting inside of our muscle cells. And these are proteins that allow to slide against each other and allow your muscle cells to contract and shorten. But smooth muscle cells, they have that, but it's a little less linearly organized. And instead of like having those zebra stripes, they do have actin, they do have myosin, they do contract. But instead of contracting like this in a linear fashion, they kind of squish together. That's what we're seeing in this image over here.